UFC Vegas 38, aka UFC Fight Night, Thiago Santos versus Johnny Walker. These are the main card predictions by yours truly here at Boxingmmapicks. Another UFC prediction and analysis video where we are giving you our fight by fight breakdown, fight by fight analysis, specifically from the betting perspective, here to let you know which fights are worth the value, which fights you want to be avoiding, perhaps which underdog has the best shot at winning. And if you stick around to the end of the video, you may even get a little bit of parlay action as well. If you have not checked out our prelim video, please pause this, check that one out, and then come back and return. If you have, that's great. We are going to move on with our main card, where we have 6 fights to talk about. Again, the main event being Thiago Santos taking on Johnny Walker. But of course, before we get to that main event, we do have to get to fight number 1 of our main card. And we have Alexander Hernandez taking on Mike Breeden. I'll start this one off and it won't be too long. We see Alexander Hernandez here as a huge favorite, minus 500. You always want to hesitate even in how much analysis you provide for these types of fights. But Hernandez, I mean, he lost his last fight in February to Thiago Moises. Pretty well-rounded fighter, BJJ brown belt, has some wrestling, goes for takedowns, good movement, pretty light on the feet. I actually do like his striking the most. Good kickboxing, good boxing too. Crisp, sharp, straight punches, and good strength of schedule. He's faced some solid competition, 12 wins, 4 losses, can't be too mad at that. Mike Breeden, on the other hand, is making his UFC debut. He competed back in May. He won that fight. He's competed in LFA as well as Dana White Contender Series in the past. 8 of his 10 wins are via KO, TKO. Stand-up is solid, but really nothing special, primarily hands. And I have seen him land takedowns. But again, like I said, I'll keep the prediction short here. I really do think Hernandez is better everywhere. I think he has strength of schedule to his advantage as well. And again, he has that UFC experience. And I think he is going to pull out the win versus the newcomer and Mike Breeden. I'll just keep it at that. Alexander Hernandez is my pick. Minus 500. I'd be kind of careful about this, but at the same time, I am pretty confident in Alexander Hernandez.
Yeah, I'll make mine quick, man. I think Alex is just the better fighter. Looking on Mike Breeden's record, whenever he stepped up, he lost, right? So I'm not sure where they got this guy from, why he's in the UFC. But I don't think he's going to win this fight here. I think Alex Hernandez can keep it on the feet here. He's strong enough. He might even get some takedowns himself. Again, very strong guy. He has that left, so he's pretty effective in the striking as well. And what he does, he has a high pace that he could overwhelm Breeden at some point in this fight. But I'll take the safe route, Alex Hernandez to win decision. But again, I wouldn't be surprised to see a finish here. But Alex Hernandez is my pick.
Sounds good. Let's move on to fight number 2. We have Aspen taking on Macy Chiasson. For this fight, I think this was a fight that was supposed to happen quite a while ago. So here we have it now at this point. Aspen 2-year layoff, almost a 2-year layoff. Her last fight was a win versus Yana Kunitskaya. That was back in December 2019. Puts a lot into her strikes on the feet, bit more of a boxing stance, some head movement, bit of a brawler in some ways. She'll definitely take one to give one, definitely willing to engage. Good takedowns, as we see there, almost 2.5 takedowns per fight at 75% accuracy. Really good on top, good top pressure, aggressive ground and pound. And that definitely is a path to victory for her in this fight. Macy Chiasson, 2-fight win streak. She beat Marion Renault back in March. Fights very tall. She is very tall, 5 feet 11 inches. Aggressive pressing type of striking, long punches, willing to engage as well. Comes forward a lot. She does fight from distance though with the long punches. And she can also show a bit more of a patient side to her, like we saw in that Marion Renault fight. Good long jab, good 1-2. She'll throw the combinations. She likes the knee and the tight clinch. Respectable takedown defense, 64%. Not amazing, but not terrible. And definitely will attempt some takedowns in her own right. Yes, she only lands 1 per fight, but again, at 20% accuracy, that kind of tells you that she does go for it. And still sort of improving every fight. This is an interesting matchup because I do feel Chiasson has the better stand-up. I do think Aspen Ladd definitely has the better wrestling. And the clinch is going to be the key, right? If Aspen Ladd can control the clinch, land the takedown, she can smother Chiasson for a round and do it twice and do it 3 times. If Chiasson can stop that takedown, then I think Chiasson can have some moments on the feet here. When this fight was originally announced, I was on the side of Chiasson. Since that time, I kind of have leaned on the side of Ladd for this fight. We see Ladd as the favorite at minus 210, but I think I'm going to stick with my original pick. I think I'm going to stick with Macy Chiasson. I don't think it's a smart pick. I'll be honest. I don't think this is a fight that I'm not betting on this whatsoever. But I do want to stick with my original pick with Macy Chiasson, thinking that she has better moments on the feet and thinking that she's able to keep the fight at distance, especially with the patience that she showed in that Marion Renault fight. So I'm going Macy Chiasson plus 175, going with an underdog.
Yeah, it's a tough fight. Macy, when she came out of the Ultimate Fighter, she was putting these girls away. Submission, knockout. She was, I think her first couple of fights, like early on, she was finishing these girls. Then as she stepped up her competition, Lena Landsberg, Shanna Young, Marion Renault, she hasn't been able to get any finishes, right? So she's definitely a really good fighter. I think she is the better striker in this fight. But I agree, Aspen Ladd, the grappling, and I think she's going to be able to get her on the mat. Marion Renault got 2 takedowns against Chiasson. Lena Landsberg got 2 takedowns against Chiasson. And Lena Landsberg, when she got them, Chiasson couldn't move, couldn't get up. Sarah Moraes got 1 takedown against her. So I can see Aspen Ladd implementing a wrestling game plan here. It would be silly for her to strike with such a long striker. So yeah, I'm going to go Aspen Ladd here. Utilize some grappling, get this to the cage, tie her up, get the double leg, get the body lock, take her to the mat, and top control. So yeah, Aspen Ladd is my pick.
I would not be surprised if that happens either. So let's move on to fight number 3. We have Misha Cirkunov taking on Krzysztof Jotko. How do you feel about this one?
It's a tough one because we don't know where Misha Cirkunov is at right now. Against in his last fight, he got knocked out, and against Ryan Spann, he didn't look the same, right? So in this spot, I actually am going to go with Krzysztof Jotko. I just think that as far as this fight goes, he should be able to defend some of these takedowns, if not even get back to his feet, keep it a striking match. And I think he's a better striker. I think he's a more well-rounded striker here. And if this stays on the feet, even if Cirkunov, I believe, gets a takedown, I don't believe Cirkunov can do this takedown heavy game plan for 3 rounds. And Jotko can go 3 rounds. So I think Jotko is going to piece him up on the feet, and I think he's going to get the win. So Jotko is my pick here.
To that point of Jotko, southpaw on the feet, good in and out movement, very light on the feet as well. He'll fight from the outside, decent strikes from distance with both the hands and the feet. He can clinch as well. He's a pretty solid fighter overall, 22 wins, 5 losses. Misha Cirkunov, he's introduced as having a BJJ and a wrestling background. So that is going to tell you where his strengths are, of course. Has those takedowns, over 4 takedowns per fight. But to your point, is a question of how long can you keep that type of approach up? And Krzysztof Jotko on paper, at least, again, I always got to resort to on paper. In the UFC, 87% takedown defense. So, we're going to see that 87% get tested. Is it a true 87 or is it based on the opponents that he's been facing, right? I actually do like Cirkunov in this fight. I do feel like although Jotko is better on the feet, neither one of these guys are big threats on the feet with their striking. And I think Cirkunov presents, again, that wrestling and grappling advantage to a point where this is going to be maybe one of those fights that you kind of wonder how Cirkunov scored the round. He'll land 2 takedowns, really maybe not do much with it. But I feel like because Jotko won't do much in the stand-up in terms of presenting a dominating style, I feel like that could be enough to win Cirkunov the round there. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is a split decision type of fight. Misha Cirkunov, by way of takedowns, having the nod on the judges' scorecard. I'm going to go with the plus 135 underdog and choose Misha Cirkunov for this fight. So let's move on to fight number 4. In that case, we have Alex Cowboy Oliveira taking on Niko Price. This is another difficult fight on this card. Niko Price lost to Michel Pereira. That was not too long ago. Lost via unanimous decision. So he's officially winless in 3 fights at this point. We all know what happened with the Cowboy Cerrone fight. Decent on the feet. He hits hard, solid boxing, marches you down, definitely willing to engage. Good usage of the jab, throws hooks to the body. So pretty good punching diversity. Seen him throw elbows repeatedly in clinch situations. Seen him mix it up on the feet as well. Knees in the clinch, high kicks, front kicks, decent calf kick as well. Decent takedown defense, 72% in 12 UFC fights. So I do think that is a pretty legitimate 72% there. He'll slow down a little bit as the fight goes on, but the cardio does hold up pretty much throughout the entire fight, at least enough for him to continue to come forward, continue to box in range, continue to try to put that pressure on. With Alex Oliveira, we know it's pretty hard to assess him as a fighter overall, because he's one of those fighters that will look good, but not really be good. It bounces on the feet, pounces forward with explosive single shots, good movement, good in and out movement, good mix of punches and kicks, pretty unpredictable at times, good timing as well. Has some wrestling ability, solid takedown numbers, 2.37 per fight, only 37% accuracy, but again, multiple takedowns per fight against his opponents. So I wouldn't necessarily call it a strength of his when the accuracy is as low as it is. But with Oliveira, definitely fades as the fight goes on. I don't like this fight at all in terms of betting on it. I do think it'll stay on the feet. I do think Oliveira will look good early, but I do think Niko Price will win the fight because he'll be tougher. He'll have the later round performance. We talked about this with one of the prelim fights, and I feel like this very much has the same formula written in it, where Oliveira looks good early, but Niko's continued toughness and pressure and later round performance is what's going to pull the fight out for him. So minus 150, I understand why he's the favorite. My pick is going to be for Niko Price.
Yeah, I don't blame you, man. This is a tough one here because you look at Alex Oliveira's last 2 fights, albeit they were against tough opponents, Shavkat Rakhmonov and Randy Brown. He got finished in both those fights in the first round. So, again, I'm not sure where this guy's at as far as the game. With Niko Price, he had an easier matchup with, not easier, Michel Pereira, but he went 3 rounds, and I think he won a round in that fight, if I remember correctly. And he got finished in the 3rd round against Vicente Luque, doctor stoppage. So this guy's he's showing he's a bit more durable than Oliveira, who's getting finished in the 1st round. Like you said here, I could see Niko Price just having the better cardio, more toughness here as the fight goes on here to squeeze out a decision. I can see this being a close fight that can go either way. But I think the judges are going to reward Niko Price's activity in the later rounds. So I'm going to go Niko Price here as well. But yeah, this is a tough fight because in my opinion, I think Alex Oliveira is a more skilled guy. I think he's the superior fighter. But again, I don't know where he's at. He's getting folded in the 1st round. So I'm going to go with Niko Price here, but please don't put any bets on this one.
Definitely agreed on that last point, especially. Let's move on then to our co-main event. We have Kevin Holland, everyone's favorite fighter of last year, taking on Kyle Daukaus. How do you feel about this one?
Yeah, this is a good fight here for Kevin Holland here to get back here. He's been getting grappled against these guys, looking really bad on the mat here, looking really amateurish when these guys get him to the mat. But on the feet, he's good. He's a sniper, and he uses his reach. He fights at length, so he's a really good striker. And obviously, his speed could cause Kyle a lot of problems here. Kyle Daukaus, though, I think is a seasoned fighter, 10 wins, 2 losses. He got a round versus Brendan Allen. So he did win one of those rounds. And against Phil Haas, I didn't watch that again, but no, he did not win anything against Phil Haas. But that was a tough matchup. But I think against Kevin Holland here, he can tie him up, get him against the cage, get him on the mat a couple times. And I think his stand-up is serviceable. I think it's decent enough to set up the takedowns. And one thing about Daukaus, what I like is he doesn't just shoot for takedowns. He gets you against the cage first, holds you there, secures you, and then he slowly either gets the body lock or the single or the double leg. against a guy like Kevin Holland, I can see him getting success there. This is a tough pick here because obviously Kevin Holland should get this done. He's the better fighter. He's higher up in terms of the rankings in the UFC. But I think Kyle Daukaus has that grappling that can give Holland issues here. So I'm going to go Kyle Daukaus here to get this done. Mix it up, utilize some takedowns. Might be a close fight, but I think the takedown is going to give him a close decision win here. So Kyle Daukaus is my pick.
I'm not mad at that pick at all. And I think when you analyze this fight, that really is the conclusion. I think your conclusion is perfect from an analysis perspective. With this fight, it really comes down to how bad is Kevin Holland's takedown defense, because I don't consider Kyle Daukaus to be a wrestling specialist, although to your point, he does it in a pretty methodical way. Decent number, 1.75 takedowns per fight. But it is more of his clinch work. It is more of his pressure against the cage, then going for it once he secures you. If Kevin Holland cannot stop that, then absolutely no shot at winning. And I think every fighter going forward is going to have a blueprint on how to beat Kevin Holland. But, I'm going to have to assume that Holland has improved his takedown defense in general, especially against somebody who I wouldn't consider a wrestling specialist. And then in terms of the on the feet performance, to your point, Holland is quicker. He's more dynamic, faster, maybe better striking IQ. We're going to have to see from that perspective. But again, basically what I'm going to bank on, and this is maybe not the most logical pick here, but what I'm going to bank on is the assumed improvement in Kevin Holland's takedown defense versus somebody who I would not consider a wrestling specialist in Kyle Daukaus, even though he can definitely land those takedowns. So a bit of a gut check here, a bit of an assumption here, but I am going to go with Kevin Holland. This is sort of my last ditch effort on Kevin Holland in terms of seeing him as somebody who I can confidently bet on. So he's going to have to kind of prove himself and kind of have to look to return to his performance of last year. And we'll see if that happens or not. But my pick for the channel will be Kevin Holland. From a betting perspective, I definitely do not put any coin on this whatsoever. Or, to your point, I look at Kyle Daukaus as the underdog. So I'm not mad at that at all. But again, just to clarify, my pick for the channel will be Kevin Holland. Let's move on to our main event of the evening. We have Thiago Santos taking on Johnny Walker. Santos lost via unanimous decision to Alexander Rakic back in March. Definitely can slug early in the fight, be explosive, has a lot of pop in his punches. We see his record there at 21-9. 15 of those 21 are wins via KO, TKO. In the stand-up definitely shows that Muay Thai style stance. Also a southpaw, switch stance fighter, I should say. We do see orthodox listed there. Kick heavy attack, but he'll do it from the outside. Really sharp calf kicks if they land. BJJ black belt. But I think his biggest concern and his biggest weakness is his cardio. Fades as the fight goes on, but we can expect that has a bit of a bigger body for the division. For Johnny Walker, he beat Ryan Spann back in September. Big threat early in the fight. Very explosive fighter, has a lot of power. These are two guys that are going to slug it out. I talked about Thiago Santos, 15 of his 21 being by KO, TKO. For Johnny Walker, 15 of his 18 wins are via KO, TKO, and 10 of those 15 are specifically in round one. Of his 5 losses, only one of them has been via decision. So this is almost a kill or be killed type of fighter. Huge for the division, 6 feet 6 inches, very long reach as well, 82 inches. He's going to have a 6-inch reach advantage in this fight. He's going to have a 4-inch height advantage in this fight as well. Sharp, very fast, sharp striker, can be unorthodox at times with his strikes, borderline low IQ at times, a bit chinny at times as well. And what's interesting is that it seems like the UFC wants some new blood in this light heavyweight division. And this is the second time in a row now in 3 weeks where we see somebody who's just outside the top 10, or I think Johnny Walker is number 10 at this point, versus somebody who is well within the top 10. We saw it with Ryan Spann versus versus Alex Smith, or what's his name again? Whatever, but you know what I mean. And we're seeing it now with Johnny Walker versus Thiago Santos, right? So we saw what happened 2-3 weeks ago. Is it going to happen again this time? I don't think so. Unless either guy can get rocked in this fight. Either guy can knock each other out pretty quickly within this fight as well. And I've always said the biggest key to success for Johnny Walker is his fight IQ. It's his discipline. As he gets older, he gets a little bit more of it. So I'm going to bank on that, right? A little bit more of a gut check here as well. I'm going to bank on the fact that he has continued maturity, continued improvement with his IQ, continued improvement with his discipline, because I feel like he is the more dynamic striker. He is the younger fighter. I feel like he's going to have better opportunities on the feet, being the physically bigger fighter as well. But I mean, neither of these guys can last long. So let's see what happens from that perspective. Johnny Walker is going to be my pick. I'm actually a little surprised to see him as an underdog. I thought this would be kind of close to a pick 'em. But plus 145, I'm not mad at that. Johnny Walker is my pick.
Yeah, I'm on the other end here. I'm going with Thiago Santos. I just think that when it comes to the striking, I think Johnny Walker just throws that one blow, that one knockout shot, that one strike. He doesn't really follow up his strikes, and is what I'm seeing. So you're looking for that one shot kill. Santos has been in there with many strikers. He can kind of hold his own in the striking. I think he's able to mix it up with the leg kicks. I think when it comes to the boxing, I think that Thiago Santos is going to have the better boxing as well. So, yeah, I think this is his fight to win here. You're kind of upset about the Rakic fight. The Glover Teixeira, he had Glover wobbled. Obviously, Glover was able to get him to the mat. I think this is a fight he can win, and this is a fight that benefits his style. So I'm going to go Thiago Santos here to get this done. Maybe I think I'm going to go by knockout. I think he's going to knock him out here, but just put me down for the win, Thiago Santos.
Yeah, not too mad at that at all. I think one of these main events that are pretty hard to call, and I can definitely see both sides of the coin, especially with Santos just being the more veteran fighter, being in there with a lot of talent, and having a fight that's more in his style. I can absolutely see that happening as well. But why don't we take it to Vegas at that point? Let's consider the entire card. Let's take a look at, of course, which underdogs we like and which favorites or which parlay picks we like. Let's start with underdog. What do we got?
For the main event, underdog pick, I'm going to go Kyle Daukaus.
I like that. Good value there. Plus 125. My two underdog picks, I have one for Misha Cirkunov at plus 140. And like I mentioned with the main event, Johnny Walker, plus 150. Not extremely confident in either of those guys, but again, to the way that we describe it, the underdog that we feel has the best shot at winning, I feel like it could be one of those two guys. And in terms of parlay picks, who are we taking a look at?
All right, my parlay pick here for the entire card, I'm going Alex Hernandez, Casey O'Neill, Caro Rosa.
So those three would be a plus 137. $100 will return 237, and for our bigger bettors, $250 will return 593. Not mad at those three picks at all. My picks are actually very similar to that. I am going with Hernandez as well. I am going with Rosa as well. I am going with Casey O'Neill as well. And again, I am going to add the slight gut check by adding Joe Solecki to that parlay. And those four fights at that point would be a plus 309. $100 will return 409. And for our bigger bettors, $250 will return 1,024. So let's sign off on that note. Let's see what happens for this event. Of course, this has been our UFC Vegas 38, aka UFC Fight Night, Santos versus Walker main card predictions. As usual, subscribe to the channel, participate in the comments, hit that thumbs up. And again, like I said, let's have some good discussion in the comments. Very specifically, let us know which parlay picks you're considering. Let us know how you feel about our picks. Or again, if you want additional insight and analysis on a specific fight that you're considering, or a specific event that you're considering, knockout, decision, submission, etc., over, under on rounds, put that in the comments. We're always more than happy to provide our feedback on that as well. But again, let's officially sign off. UFC Vegas 38 main card predictions. Thiago Santos versus Johnny Walker. He goes by the name of Zan. I go by the name of Harris. We are Boxing MMA Picks. And as usual, let's get this money.
Let's do it.